Shabbat Shalom.
I was wearing a flak jacket. Did you have a good relationship? Oh, it was a South African officer too. With a strong accent. Strong accent. We've just been going out to the world with this whole conversation.
No. Haven't.
Huh?
Only at the end.
Hi, JJ. G'day. Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Page 126.
Ma yafe hayom, Shabbat Shalom. Ma yafe hayom, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. Yedit nefesh afarachaman. Yedit nefesh afarachaman. Mashachavtecha. Kol mevonecha. Mashachavtecha. Ya la la la.
Page 131, Shir Adonai, Shir Chadash.
Shir Adonai, Shir Chadash, Shir Adonai, Kol haaretz. Shir Adonai, Shir Chadash, Shir Adonai, Kol haaretz. Shir Adonai, Baruch Shemo. Pasru miyom leyom Yeshuato. Shiru l'Adonai baruch shemo. Pasru miyom leyom Yeshuato. Shiru l'Adonai, shiru shir chadash. Shiru l'Adonai kol haaretz. Shiru l'Adonai, shiru shir chadash. Shiru l'Adonai kol haaretz. Shiru l'Adonai baruch shemo. Pasru miyom leyom Yeshuato. Shiru l'Adonai baruch shemo. Pasru leyom Yeshuato.
Let's turn back one page to page 129. May the door of this shul be wide enough to receive all who hunger for love, all who are lonely for friendship. May it welcome all who have cares to unburden, thanks to express, hopes to nurture. May the door of this shul be narrow enough to shut out pettiness and pride, envy, and enmity. May its threshold be no stumbling block to young or straying feet. May it be too high to admit complacency, selfishness, and harshness. May this shul be, for all who enter, the doorway to a richer and more meaningful life. Page 134, Zamru Ladonai.
Zamru Ladonai Bechino, Bechino v'kol zimra, בחוצות רות וקול שופר, הריעו לפני המלך אדוני, ירם הים ומלואו, תבל ויושבי בה, נהרות ימחאו חף, יחד ערים ירננו, לפני אדוני קיבה לשפוט הארץ, ישפוט תבל בצדק, וימים במישרים. ירם הים ומלואו, תבל ויושבי בה, נהרות ימחאו חף, יחד ערים ירננו.
We turn forward to Lechado D on page 138.
לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. 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 שמוע וזכור בדיבור אחד, השמיענו אל עם יוחד, אדוני אחד ושמו אחד, לשם ולתפארת ולתהילה. לך דודי, לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לקראת שבת לכו ונלכה, כי מקור הברכה, מראש מקדם לסוכה, סוף מעשה במחשבה תחילה. לך דודי, לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. התעוררי, כי באורך קומי אורי, שיר דברי, כבוד אדוני עלייך נגלה. לך דודי, לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה.
We rise.
בואי בשלום עצרת בעלה, גם בשמחה ובצולה, תוך אמוני עם סגולה. בואי חלה, בואי חלה. לך דודי, לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לך לחרדי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה.
And so as we welcome Shabbat with the Shabbat bride of Lechadodi, we invite our Shabbat groom, Robbie, Robbie, to light our Shabbat candles on page 118. It's been a while since you've been a groom, and if your wife was watching through our live stream, and she'd wonder what was going on, wouldn't she?
No, she knows.
She knows. Amen. Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
And let's take a moment to turn to one another, wishing each other Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
I was close. Thank you. Elaine, Eloise. So let me also acknowledge that we are gathered on the traditional lands of the Wajak people of the Noongar Nation and pay my respect to elders both past and present. So as we are seated, let's turn to Shalom Aleichem on page 142.
Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyon. Mi Melech, Malchei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Bochem LaShalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon. Mi Melech, Malchei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Bachuni LaShalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon. Mi Melech, Malchei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Tzedrem LaShalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon. Mi Melech, Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu.
rise for the Chatzi Kaddish on the next page, 144.
יתגדל ויתקדש מרבה ועל מה יברח ירוצי ימלך מלכותי בחייכון וביום אחד וברכי לכל בית ישראל בגלה בגלה ובזמן קריב ואמרו אמן יש מרבה מבורך לעולם ולעלמי המאיה יתברך יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומן ויתנשא ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל שמי לקודשו ברכו לילה מן כל בחצה ושירתה תושבחתה ונחמתה תמירן בעלמה ואמרו אמן ברכו את אדוני המבורך ברוך אדוני המבורך המבורך לעולם ועד המבורך המבורך לעולם ועד.
On page 148. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bidbaro ma'ariv haravim, v'chochma poteach sharim, u'vitbuna meshane yitim u'machalifet hazmanim, umseder et hakochavim v'mishmortehem barakia kirtzono, urei yom v'layla golel or mipnei choshech, v'choshech mipnei or, uma'avir yom u'mevi layla, umavdil ben yom u'ben layla, Adonai tzavaot shemo. El chai v'kayam tamid yimloch aleinu le'olam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai, hama'ariv haravim.
אהבת עולם, בית ישראל, עמך אהבת, עמך אהבת, תורה ומצוות, חוקים ומשפטים, אותנו לימדת, אותנו לימדת. על כן אדוני אלוהינו בשוכבנו ובקומנו נעשייה בחוקיך ונשמח בדברי תורתך ובמצוותיך לעולם ועד כי הם חיינו ואורך ימינו ובהם נגי יומן ולילה נגי יומן ולילה ואהבת אל תסיר ממנו לעולמים ברוך אתה אדוני אוהב עמו ישראל אוהב עמו ישראל שמע ישראל אדוני אלוהינו אדוני אחד ברוך שם כבוד מלכותו לעולם ועד.
We may be seated.
ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך, ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך, ובלכתך בדרך, ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אדוני אלוהיכם. Amen.
The first word on page 156 of the prayer in Hebrew is emet, which means true or truth. And then when you read the two readings on page 157, they speak to, especially the second one, it speaks to a sense of justice. And our parasha this week, Shoftim, our Torah portion for the week, Shoftim is about justice in a way, and begins about saying, you shall appoint magistrates and officials for your tribes. You shall set up a system of governance. You shall set up a way to understand if people do something wrong, how are you going to judge people fairly with impartiality. Don't take a bribe if you are an official. All the kinds of things that to make sure that there is a fair justice system. And when I was looking at the parasha, I was trying to think about what the difference between moral and ethical judgments and judging, and that those two particular concepts. And we know, like if I said to you, what's the difference between moral and ethics? You'll say to me, two easy concepts, right? They're often used interchangeably. Morals guide our daily lives generally, and ethics are more like guiding principles, right? Just nod and smile. Go with me here. It's one of my favorite sayings, just nod and smile. Go with me here. So often ethics are referred to rules provided by an external source, whereas morals refer to our individual principles. So I could have different morals to Gina. Unlikely necessarily because we're within the same religious framework. Our morals compass is probably going to be connected. But if Gina comes from a completely different, and I'm sorry to pick on you, Gina,
okay.
But if Gina comes from a completely different religion and culture, it's likely that her moral compass will be completely different to me. For example, if you were entrenched in the right-wing Republican, I'm kidding.
I'm not.
I wasn't going to finish that sentence. I wasn't going to finish that sentence anyway. Morals can be the things we deal with daily, and ethics we can look at also from the historical perspective. Like we can look back at history and say, is what this historical leader, are the policies and principles this historical leader employed, was it ethical? Were the things that he or she employed ethical? So what are the principles that we look for in an ethical leader? We look at Moses and say, because we consider him ultimately as an ethical leader. We don't necessarily see him all the time, possibly, as a moral leader. Why wasn't he a moral leader? Why was he an ethical leader, but not always a moral leader? Do you know what I'm getting at, Gina?
His wives.
His wives?
Yeah, no.
No, I don't think he wasn't known for being promiscuous. He killed someone.
Oh, yes, yeah. Egyptian.
Remember, he killed an Egyptian slave. Slave is killing people is just wrong on every level except in self-defense. This wasn't self-defense. This was premeditated. In a sense, maybe not premeditated, but it was murder. But was he an ethical leader? More likely than not. So in understanding, when the Israelites was told, you shall appoint magistrates and officials, shoftim v'shotrim, in your gates, it very much said in your gates, according to a set code. It was very clear to say, this is for your people. And I think one of the things that I would take away from that is to be very careful that this is a legal system for the Israelite people, that we can't always say this is meant to be imposed upon other people. So here we are, Jews, living within Australia. What do? We have our legal code. In a sense, I'm going to choose the Women's Torah commentary. Here's our Torah. This is our legal code. This should be my guidebook. I'm a rabbi. I'm a Jew. What do? I'm not going to give two drushes. This is the drush, by the way. What do? But yet I live in Australia. I was pulled over by the police this afternoon. I will likely get a fine. I'll tell you about that later. Don't worry, I'm not in big trouble. I just didn't switch my driver's license from Victoria to WA. It's okay. What do? Whose laws do I follow? Should have I pulled out my phone and said, I'm a Jew, I only follow the Torah, your authority I don't ascribe to? Somehow I don't think that would have gone down very well, sir, your officer. How do we get around that? What went wrong we look back at what was going on in Melbourne, and it wasn't just Melbourne, when people didn't report child sex abuse within the Jewish community. What did they hide behind? Judith? Right. So there's a halachic principle, a Talmudic principle, not halachic, but it became halachic. A Talmudic principle and halachic principle that's not known in Aramaic, so this is an Aramaic phrase. Dina de malchut dina. The law of the land is the law. So why wasn't that principle upheld? Family violence, child sex abuse, all of those kinds of things. Why in some parts of the Jewish community has that principle? I upheld it today. I was like, yes, officer, I'm so sorry, officer, whatever you need, officer. I didn't try to run over the officers. I was a good citizen today. I didn't try to offer them bribes or anything like that. Why is that not, even in these cases, why is that not a legitimate excuse? A legitimate reason? Why can't we hide behind that? What's the reason? Anybody want to take a guess? JJ? Yeah, but that's, yeah, I mean, fair enough. You've hurt somebody really bad. I didn't hurt anybody today, right? I didn't hurt anybody today. But yes, in those cases, great harm has come to other people. And therefore, it should go to the civil authorities, correct? Yeah. Okay. But still, they said, no, this is an internal matter to be dealt with. What's your reason, Ken?
I was thinking why is it that you need to cover up something you know you've done wrong?
If you're hiding something you're covering up, you know you've done wrong. It's like when children are playing and they suddenly get very quiet. You know that they're doing something they shouldn't, right, Sarah? You're smiling, you know that from your own. No, the reason being that principle, the only time that principle can be disobeyed, according to another level of Jewish law, is if it's an anti-Semitic government. And you know that by reporting anything to the civil government, not just whether it's like I got a fine for that or something else, anything reported means that it will increase violent anti-Semitism against the Jewish people. What do we know about the Australian government? What do we know about living in Australia? Is it an anti-Semitic government? Is it an anti-Semitic country, for the most part? Are we safe living here as Jews? If we go to trial, can we, by the judges and the lawyers, can we expect fair representation? Was I pulled over today because I'm a Jew? I'm not a conspiracy theorist. No. So this law of Dina de Malchut Dina, the law of the land of the law, was created to protect the Jewish community from a government that was likely to be hurtful and anti-Semitic towards the Jewish people. And therefore, people was set up. Sorry, let me rephrase that. That didn't make sense. The law of the land of the law is enacted so that we can live safely within a country. You can only go against that if you know the country is an anti-Semitic country. So whenever you hear about cases where the Jewish community says, I'm not going to report, or we didn't report these things to the police because we have to keep it within the Jewish community, and we were going to deal with it within our community, you know that is going against that's actually going against the principles of Judaism and the principles of Jewish law in principle. So when it says, you shall appoint magistrates and officials for your tribes in your settlements that God is giving you, they shall govern the people with due justice. It's about ensuring that there is justice, ensuring that there is tzedek. And if within our community we can't offer our own people justice, then we have a problem. Because if we're preventing justice from happening within our communities, then we're going to our members, if we are not going to be able to get justice outside of our community. Do you know what I mean by that? We're preventing our people from getting justice outside of our community because they can't enter into the legal system. We're preventing our members from getting justice through the civil courts. And that to me is a gross breach of what our Torah means for our people as a whole. So we need to ensure, we need to do what we can for all members of our community, that we really do speak about what justice means, what moral justice is, what ethical justice is, to learn from our past and to ensure that all our members throughout our entire community have access to knowledge and access to education, access to legal help and legal support along the way. And I think places like Menorah Charity do a wonderful, wonderful job at allowing that to happen. Shabbat Shalom. We're going to continue with singing Mi Chamocha. I'm not going to give a second rush. That was it, because we're going into our song of freedom, Mi Chamocha, on page 158.
Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi kamocha nida ba'kodesh, nora teilot osefele, malchutecha ra'uvanecha, bokei hayam lefnei Moshe u'Miriam, Elianu v'amru, Adonai yimloch leolam va'ed, v'nehema kifada Adonai et Yaakov, ugelo miyad chazak mimenu. Baruch atah Adonai, Gai Yisrael. Amen.
Hashkivenu on page 160, a prayer for shelter, a prayer for peace and security on page 160.
Hashkivenu Adonai, Eloheinu leshalom, Hamidenu malkeinu lechayim. Hashkivenu Adonai, Eloheinu leshalom, Hamidenu malkeinu lechayim.
Give us a place to rest, eternal our God. Bring us into shelter in the soft, long evening shadows of your truth. For with you are protection and safety, and in your presence are acceptance and gentle love. Watch over us as we go forth. Prepare for us as we return. Spread over us your shelter of peace, over all we love, over our Jerusalem and yours. Blessed are you, Eternal One, whose shelter of peace is spread over us, over all your people Israel, and over Jerusalem. Baruch atah Adonai, hapores sukat shalom aleinu, v'akol amo Yisrael, v'al Yerushalayim. V'shamru on the next page.
ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ביני ובין בני ישראל, ביני ובין בני ישראל, אותי לעולם, אותי לעולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. כי ששת ימים, כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם וביום השביעי שבת וינפש ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם.
Let us rise for the Amidah on page 164.
Adonai sefatai tefta uvia gitelatecha. Adonai sefatai tefta uvia gitelatecha. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu Elohei Avotenu v'Imotenu Elohei Avraham Elohei Yitzhak Elohei Yaakov Elohei Sarah Elohei Rivka Elohei Rachel Elohei Leah Ha'el HaGadol HaGibor HaNorah HaElyon Gomer Chasedim Tovim V'Konei HaKol V'Zochei Chasdei Avot V'Imot U'Mevii Gula Livnei V'Nechem L'man Shemo Be'ahava Malach Ozeh U'Moshia U'Magen Baruch atah Adonai Magen Avraham Ezrat Sarah אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, וחיי הכל אתה לך להושיע. משיב הרוח ומוריד הגשם, מזריח השמש ומוריד הצל, וחכה חיים וחסד, וחיי הכל ורחמים רבים. צומח נופלים ורופא חולים, ומתי אסורים. אמונתו בשערי עפר, יחמוך בגבורות, ומידו מלך, מלך מימין, ומחיה, ומצמיח ישועה, לימדת לחיות הכל, ברוך אתה אדוני, בחיי הכל.
אתה קדוש ושמך קדוש, וקדושים בכל יום יחלוך הסלע. ברוך אתה אדוני, האל הקדוש. We continue now silently with the prayers of our hearts or the words of the page coming together on page 180.
עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל ועל כל יושבי תבל, ואמרו, אמרו, אמן. יאללה לי לי לי, יאללה לי לי לי, יאללה לי 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 לי, יאללה לי 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 לי, יאללה לי לי לי, יאללה לי לי לי, יאללה לי 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 לי, יאללה לי 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 לי, עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל ועל כל יושבי תבל, ואמרו, אמרו, amen.
May God bring peace to the world, and let us say, Amen. Let us rise for the sounding of the shofar, and then we'll continue with Aleinu and into Kaddish. Aleinu is on page 586.
Tekiah, Shavarim, Tekiah, Tekiah, Teruah, Tekiah, Tekiah, Shavarim, Teruah, Tekiah.
Vivian, would you like to open the ark for us? Okay.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת קדמה ליוצר בראשית, שהוא נוטה שמיים ויוצר את הארץ, ומושב יקרו בשמיים ממעל, ושרינתו זו בגופי מרומים, הוא אלוהינו אין עוד, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא, שהוא נוטה שמיים ויוסד הארץ, ומושב יקרו בשמיים ממעל, ושרינתו זו
And so as we turn to the mourner's Kaddish, Kaddish Yatom, on page 598. For the week of Shiva, we think of Malcolm Valentia, partner of Mallory Valentia. For the Shloshim, Neville Weiner and Julie Frey. Selwyn Glenister, stepson of Margaret Glenister. Sarah Bella Green, daughter of Jeanette Bates. Rebecca Natrup, cousin of Terry Boyd. Greg Pint. Rita Sadiq, wife of Philip. Bev Silbert, wife of Barry Silbert and mother of Todd Silbert. For the yard sites, we remember Rose Atlas, grandmother of Nina Ambrose, Ruth Cox, mother of Jenny Wilson, Philip Silverman, friend of Joan Mata, Leslie Jane Bracco, sister of Bernie Williams, David Glenister, Margaret's husband. If you'd like to share the name of a loved one for Shliva, for Shloshim, or for Yahrzeit, I invite you to share your loved one's name out now, or name them in your heart as my eyes meet yours. Zecher Tzadik Livracha. May the memory of the righteous be for a blessing as we share the Kaddish Yatom together on page 598. Yikadal v'yikadash shemei Rabbah, v'yamad divrach hiritei v'yamlich malchutei, chayachon v'yomechon, v'chayedachol beit Yisrael, v'agala v'zman kariv v'meru, amen. Yahei shemei Rabbah mevarach, le'olam u'lamei almaya, Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shemei d'kudashah b'rehu, le'elam min kol berchata v'shirata, tushbachata v'nechamata, damiran b'yalma v'yimaru.
Amen.
Yehei shlam rabba min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'yimru.
Amen.
Oseh shalom mimramav, v'yaseh shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael. V'imru.
Amen.
Hamakom yinachem echem b'toch sha'ah havlei Tzion v'Yerushalayim. May the source of peace send peace to all who mourn and comfort to all who are bereaved in Zion and Jerusalem and around the world. And we say, Amen. Just a few announcements before our final song, and we head for Kiddush. So tomorrow morning we have TDRS, our religion school, followed by our regular Shabbat morning service at 10:30, and then coffee club at Flora on 10th at 12:30. Or it's pretty close to services have finished. I mean, I could lead services till about 1:30, and then, coffee club. I don't think everybody's going to leave at 12:30. Do you think, Mahjong on Monday at 12, and Food for Thought, which I think Food for Thought, they're going to be cleaning the silver. So if you want to come help clean the silver, that's the silver on the Torahs. That will be at 10:30 on Tuesday. 5 o'clock. How about this, Judith, for a double whammy for me? Not for you, but for me. I'm going to be part of the Union for Progressive Judaism's talking about our Judaism. How do we interpret Torah? So that'll be online for the entire union. And then I've got to rush over to Applecross. That's from 5 to 6. I should have plenty of time for 7:30. And I'm going to be on a panel with Dr. Judith Schneider for the Council of Christians and Jews, as well as with Rabbi Dan Lieberman from PHC. Yeah, because I'm going last. So if I'm a bit late, although they've all, because Rabbi Dan wanted 5 extra minutes, they've given us 5 extra minutes. So it's going to be a long evening. They're giving us all extra 5 minutes because Rabbi Dan wants 5 extra minutes. There's not much to say. I'm talking about Jonah as you know, Professor Gordon has 5, what's there to say in Jonah? I've got 5 extra ones. So it's about what we think Christians should understand about these different texts. What's there to understand? Who knows? It's all in Machadash. On Wednesday, Israeli dancing, ITJ, adult Hebrew. Wednesdays also, there's the 3rd, but that's in the following week. I'm not going to worry about that. High holidays, please look at the new website. There's still a few kinks we're working out, but the website is TD, Temple David, HHD, highholidays.org. It's that simple. tdhhd.org. So simple. It's constantly being updated. It was updated again today and last night. So if you think you saw everything when Machadash came out, you didn't. TDHHD. If you have a specific topic on Jonah, Professor Gordon, please let me know.
I deal with that next week. That's why I offered to.
But I've just got you down as Jonah. That you're going to be... Yes.
Sure, with pleasure.
I know we agreed to it, but if you have a specific topic on Jonah, you're going to be talking about Jonah on Yom Kippur.
Absolutely.
But if there's a specific topic, heading,
Oh, I see.
for the shiur, just Jonah. Fantastic. Our final song, Achat Sha'alti. There's been some themes for the high holidays. The shofar reading, Mi Chamocha, was to the theme of high holidays. And
It's on page 662.
we're doing well.
Achat sha'alti me'et Adonai otavakesh Shifti beveit Adonai kol yemei chayai Lachazot benom Adonai ulevaker behechalu Lachazot benoam Adonai Adonai ulevaker behechalu.
Shabbat Shalom, everybody. That's a very traditional melody to sing at this time of year, Achat Sha'alti. Shabbat Shalom. Let's go out for Kiddush.